Hey, what's up, friends? Thought I'd do a video on my little jog today. So, apologies in advance. Please forgive me if I am heavy breathing, if there's a little wind, if it sounds audio quality is bad or what have you. But we're just having a little fun with it today. So, anyways, pretty exciting day today because getting to break in a new pair of shoes, new pair of daily trainers. This is the inaugural voyage of the Saucony Ride 18s today. We got them on black on black. Vlog today while I'm running, so I'll try not to have too many pauses, but I will say this loop I'm on today, it's about 75% uphill, like a little grade, natural grade uphill, so we'll see how the huffing and puffing goes, but let's check my watch, about a mile and a half in, so I have one flat mile and about a half mile down some downhill switchbacks here at Chambers Bay. Why am I excited about these? Well, these are a change for me. These are a daily trainer that are designed to be comfortable, soft, compliant, and if I'm being honest, I typically train in like a tempo speed trainer. So my last few daily trainers have been like the Brooks Hyperion Tempo, the Saucony Speed 4s, which I love. I also have the Brooks Hyperion Max 2s that I've kind of replaced my Hyperion Tempos with. Kind of a max stack version in the Hyperion line. So and occasionally I got some Ghost Max 2s, so which are a max stack daily trainer. But these are different because they are more of an entry shoe in comparison with some of the more expensive shoes that I'm blessed to train in. So I will say this. I want to give a disclaimer because I like to do this fun thing. I'm not an experienced runner, and I don't have a long history of experience and knowledge base when it comes to running or running performance shoes, those types of things. And I think that's kind of fun and unique because sometimes I like to dabble in watching shoe reviews and runner vlogs, and typically what I find, at least on my feed, is a lot of them have a lot of experience and repertoire, and that's great because you want to learn from people who have experience. But also, find that sometimes, depending on the topic, it can be less relatable for me, because as someone who has typically been identifying as a novice runner or someone who's just learning, mile 2, I find that a lot of times, I'm listening to runners who have experience with lots of different shoe brands or shoes, but also are running a lot faster than me, putting a lot more power down, and so their experience with the foams may be different than what I experienced. We're looking, a lot of these runners are running 7-minute miles, 6-minute miles, 5-minute miles, and as someone who, I find that one of the places where people really want information about experiences with shoes is in the earlier years of their running, when they're, not a lot of people buy 3, 4, 5 pairs of shoes a year, right? Most people will only buy one a year, 2 a year, one every couple of years, so you try to do research to find that one pair of shoes that can get you through your stages of development as a runner. And so you listen to reviews of these runners who, are doing 20 to 80 sometimes miles a week, that are running 7-minute miles on their casual, slow recovery miles, and their experience in those shoes and their commentary sometimes can be relevant to you, and sometimes may or may not hit the mark for you. I run slower. It took me wasn't even until this year until I really started, I guess, acknowledging that I should start making an effort to identify as a runner, because I'm a jogger, and my experience level is very low for someone who's recording a vlog, right? So over the course of, a decade, I've probably only done 5 or 6 half marathons, and this year I ran my first 26.2 miles in the Eugene Marathon. And so my perspective when it comes to trainers is that of someone who's running, 10-minute miles on my casual daily, and 9-minute miles on my tempo days, and then I'll be lucky I don't dip below the 8s on my fast days. So 8 to 10-minute miles. All right. So these Saucony Ride 18s. First impressions. Step and Feel was amazing. You step into them and it's just cushy. I immediately thought they felt really forgiving in terms of space in the upper for something that's sold as like a daily runner, as opposed to, like, let's say, a walking shoe. It felt like it had a lot of room. When you come from some of the more expensive running shoes that tend to be usually a little tighter in the toe box or what have you, maybe even the heel. I will say my first impression of the aesthetics of them. Don't think they're a good looking shoe. So again, someone who has a big shelf of shoes, I will say these aren't the ones I'm gonna pick when I want to floss. Like, they just kind of look like a bad take on a dad shoe. But I have felt similar to shoes like that before, and then changed my tune after I spent some time in them. So that could change with time. But it's a black upper on like a gray sole, and just something about the geometry of them. Like I said, they feel like they have a little more width or volume, so maybe that's it. But first impression, aesthetics does not get 5 stars, I'll tell you that. 2 or 3 tops. I can already tell you what I don't like about these. They have the infamous Saucony long, stretchy laces. Why? Saucony, why? Same laces I have on my Speed 4s. Same laces I have on my Endorphin Pro 4s. I'm hitting a hill, by the way. So the next 10 minutes is this hill. And I just got my Speed 5s in the mail. Tip, Speed 5s are coming. And I'm guessing they're probably going to have these laces too. Saucony has these long, stretchy laces. Of course, as a daily trainer, these aren't going to have a laces elastic loop like a trail runner would have. And they just suck so bad. I'm going to make the assumption this is for cost engineering. That's my take. Because I can't imagine anyone liking these laces. And I'll actually come back to a little bit on the laces in a bit when I talk about first impressions and fit and feel on this run. Let's see. Okay, what's next? Okay, so I did pause for a minute while I was on this, getting this hill started. Still on the hill. But, okay, so first impressions of my first couple miles. First mile, mind you, okay, I will say, part of the reason I was excited about these is because these are the shoe that most people are going to buy or step into in early stages of running. Most people aren't going to spend $175, $200 or more for a pair of really high-end running daily trainers or speed trainers. So most people are going to get something like this. That's a great running shoe. Better comfort or step and feel. And are going to be softer. I would recommend this shoe for someone, for instance, that's looking at like a couch to 5K. You're trying to get into running, however many miles or however many days a week that looks for you. You want to start your running journey, you need one pair of shoes that's going to do it all, but also isn't going to make you feel tired, hurt, and need a lot of recovery when you're starting your running journey and you're already susceptible to it being, tiring journey. You need something that's gonna absorb the ground feel, be soft as you kind of get your muscle memory from head to toe. The Ride 18s this year, like I said, the uppers, a little better volume for a running shoe. It's a soft upper, which has great step and feel. Super comfortable feeling stepping in, but may have some drawbacks in some of the areas of running, which I'll talk about in a minute. The sole is a more normal stack height. I think you're looking at like 35 millimeters in the heel and like 27 in the mid sole with an 8 millimeter drop. So to give you an example, these max cushion shoes that everyone's looking at right now are pushing 39 to 40 in the heel, and most of them have about the same drop, or 6 to 8 millimeters in drop kind of thing for most shoes. So not so crazy in the max cushioning thing, which can be out of control for a lot of people these days. And the sole is a new foam for Ride this year. Well, the foam's not new, but for this shoe, it's a PW Run Plus foam. Correct me if I'm wrong if you know more, but I believe the Rides previously had the PW Run foam. This is the Run Plus. It's a beaded TPU foam. So a beaded poly. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong again, because again, beginner's commentary, I think the PW Run is their EVA foam. So as an example, most of my running shoes have something that's more like a PB foam. The Speed 4s, I believe, have their PW Run PB. The beaded TPU, the Run Plus, is going to be more soft. Again, it's not going to beat your legs up as much, which is why I would recommend it for daily trainer, and why I'm excited to finally have a pair of normal daily trainers that are not like a speed trainer or a tempo shoe. So today I've been working really hard at trying to, believe it or not, slow down even at my pace. And so this is my attempt at doing so. So now the downside, of course, is, with those more expensive shoes, with the higher end running foams, they're designed for more bounce back, more energy return when you hit the ground and roll off your midfoot. They're designed to give you energy return. So that's why people like it. But, they're also designed for more power, right? The more power you put down, the more energy return you'll get. And if you saw my blog about the Endorphin Pro 4s, I even noticed that the amount of power that I was putting down in my midfoot wasn't really quite enough to fully experience that shoe until I started going faster or downhill. So, but that feeling that everybody loves and everyone is chasing, you're not really going to get that in this shoe. It's not what these shoes are. That's a speed shoe or tempo shoe. These are designed to be a softer feel from your bottom of your feet through your ankles, your knees, and your hips. Um, Many years ago, I had one of my first pairs of shoes as I was doing my couch to 5K was a pair of Hoka Clifton. I think it was the Hoka Clifton 9s maybe. And, you know, as a Hoka, it was a little bit more of a max stack. I don't know what it was, but, you know, those shoes are like running on a cloud. Like, it's basically what I describe with these shoes. Like, you don't get a lot of energy return. It's just really soft. And when I was, you know, not a runner, and dare I say, I was overweight, those shoes were perfect for me. And they got me through that couch to 5K. And by golly, I sure wore through the sole in those shoes. I definitely got to a place where they were packed out and I didn't really feel that, you know, I had to use up the miles on them pretty quick. I wasn't tracking miles in those days, so I don't know how many I got. And it depends, I suppose, my weight at the time probably impacted that too. But man, there was a day when I was like, these shoes have nothing left. And these shoes reminded me of those when I put them on. Step and Feel was great. And then my first mile was on this same track right now. So I just did a loop. First flat mile. Very comfortable. But also, you know, as someone who's been training in something with a denser foam or a PB, man, do I notice the difference. Because these definitely feel like they absorb some of my energy, right? I also feel like I'm not gonna have sore muscles after this run, right? They're soft. They're like running on a cloud. They're definitely not the same stack as like those Cliftons, for instance, that I mentioned. Now they might be in millimeters. Don't quote me on the millimeter thing or the height, the numbers, but just feel, as far as feel is concerned. So, but you know, I'm at just under 4 miles, and you know, my next impression number 2 here, I don't feel like there's any break-in for these shoes at all. Some of my like higher end speed shoes, like I said, sometimes you step in, they're a little tighter, they're a little less plush. It takes me a few runs before like the edges of my feet feel like they found a place in the shoe. My toe box feels like it kind of found its place and needs a little break in. These don't feel like that at all. These feel like they have so much room. I could wear them around the city all day long and like I would never even know they're on my feet. So you could definitely travel in these shoes as a daily shoe. Also go out for your run in the morning, come back for your hotel breakfast. Like, you don't even know they're on your feet. Okay, so I mentioned the first thing I didn't like about the shoes was the laces. Second, kind of negative impression. For those of you that do a little running, if you've ran in some more, you know, maybe like more dialed in running shoes that have maybe like a little tighter heel, a little different type of higher end running upper. My second mile in these was down a hill on switchbacks. And I'm actually about to hit it again here pretty soon. I will say, my feet feel sloppy in these shoes. Now, there's a few things at play. So first of all, around the heel, they are not as tight as some more runner specific, like speed trainers or higher end running shoes. They have, more padding around the ankle, kind of a wider, more daily wear type of fit. And going down these switchbacks, I could almost feel my heel trying to slip. Now, I do not use the very top eyelet on my laces, so that would be one thing you could do to dial that in. But I will say, one of the things about this is those stretchy laces that I mentioned aren't helping, because I have a good tie down, but the upper itself is already a pretty soft, like movable, kind of stretchy upper, and then the laces stretch too. So when I just turn that corner, I could literally feel the edges of the upper around my ankle like moving and stretching the laces out. So I feel like I definitely would want to use that top eyelet for a little extra lockdown if I was going to run in these some more. Now, sure, you could switch the laces out. That's a conversation for another day. I don't like talking about things you can do to like fix the problems of a running shoe that's over $100. I don't even know what these cost, but we're just gonna say for something that costs this much money, we're not gonna talk about switch out the laces, switch out the insoles, do all this stuff. No, we're not talking about that. Or I'm not. You can in the comments. But I will say, I have laces on a lot of other shoes that are not that more expensive from other brands that have perfect lockdown. So take that for what it's worth. So I'm going down the switchbacks again. The other thing I mentioned, which I'm going to talk about again, is this really soft, comfortable, plushy upper. Great for someone who doesn't want an uncomfortable shoe, who doesn't want to think about, is this rubbing, does that hurt my foot, how does this feel on my foot? It's comfy, it's plush, but when you're going down a hill or around a corner, you're not getting quite the same amount of stability out of the upper that I like. Now, the sole's got plenty of stability for a non-stability shoe. Saucony, if you want more stability, Saucony's answer to that is the guide, right? The soles are great. Like, I'm just letting it loose right here down this little stretch, and like, man, these soles are great. Like, again, I'm not getting, so I just went down a dip and now I'm going up a hill. Like, there's the dip, there's the hill, not getting energy return up this hill. Like, uphill, having ran in Saucony's Power Run PB, I like that better for this. But down the hill, it was like, my knees didn't even notice I was running. So like, it's really good for someone who's concerned about getting their knees beat up. Like, I'm letting it loose down this hill. Now the downside is I don't feel quite as in control as I might feel with a different shoe. Like, but again, these are the shoes that most people are going to have on their feet, not some of the other shoes I'm talking about. These are the shoes that most people are going to buy. Now, one step up from these, of course, would be Saucony's Triumph series. And the Triumph would be more of a run forward design. Those have, I believe those have the same foam as the Speed 4s. I think it's the PB. But that's why I wanted to talk about these, is because I wanted to talk about the PW Run Plus. And yeah, my knees love this. Like, I don't even feel anything in my knee. It feels like my knees aren't taking any of the downhill at all. It's all on my hip. That's fantastic. I love that. So, it'd be interesting to see. Let me see if I can look at my watch real quick. .75 miles in 48:25. So, yeah, somewhere around a 10-minute mile. I feel slow in these, which is the idea, right? It's supposed to be a recovery run shoe for me. Something you can wear every day and not have to rest, kind of thing. Or it can go from taking your kids to school in the morning to going for your run to going to do your stuff you need to do for the day. All day trainer. And I would do that as long as nobody looked at the shoes I was wearing on my feet, because there is nothing cool about these shoes. Okay, well, let's take a look. How you doing?
Good job.
Okay, I had to pause. I saw one of the best people I've ever known. Bumped into him on the trail. Shout out to my dude Ryan. He's inspired me over the years to become a better DJ, a better man, and a better athlete, and a better father and husband. Man, he's just a stand-up dude. So, had to say hi to my brother. Haven't seen him in a bit. I'm gonna wrap up this vlog. So, first impressions on the Saucony Ride 18s. If I'm out there on the streets, you see me wearing them, tell me how cool I look.